Hey guys, so I've been doing coaching off the channel for the last 3 or so months. I've coached people in a wide variety of skill ranges, including ex-pro players. Well, I mean, they were pros at the time, and people that were in here as a dorm. I've coached people that are anywhere from bronze all the way up to Grandmaster #1. So this is something that I wanted to kind of show a little bit was what it looks like when I'm coaching a Grandmaster player. In this case, Slip is a multiple-time Grandmaster top 100 player. He's gotten above top 30 before, and at one point he's had 4 accounts all in Grandmaster. He is an extremely good assassin player, and he was a little bit rusty on Medivh and wanted to kind of send over this replay and tell me, or just ask me to take a look at it. Now, he still said it was a pretty good game that he did, but he did want to see if there was anything that I could find. So anyways, I wanted to take a peek at it and then show you guys a few things. The primary things that I want to show you is that, one, this is what it looks like when a Grandmaster player is playing something, and two, Grandmaster players also make mistakes. So this is, again, one of his Smurf accounts. There are Grandmasters on both teams, as Scapegoat and Limo are both players that I believe Limo's really familiar, so I know I've played with him a lot. Scapegoat is as well. So there's at least 2 Grandmasters on both teams, from my understanding. And so in the beginning, when you're playing Medivh, the first thing that you should be looking for is to get vision on all of the enemies, and then the second thing you should be looking for is finishing your quest as fast as possible. If you guys don't know what the quest is, it's essentially you need to hit 40 people without dying on your Arcane Rift. If you die, it resets this thing. If you hit the 40 without dying, it locks it in place and you permanently get 75 damage and 1 more cooldown reduction on hitting heroes. It puts your cooldown at about 1 second whenever you hit heroes with it. It's a really powerful tool that allows you to do a lot of sustained damage in team fights to the front line. The way he plays, though, it's not just to the front line, and we'll talk about that as we get in there. In the beginning, first thing that he does, he checks vision in this bush. He gets a sight of everyone on the enemy team except for 1 person and immediately starts using his Q to get stacks. So he's playing the early game essentially how you should be playing it. Getting stacks, getting vision, pretty much just that. He's also playing rather safe in the early game, and it's probably for a good reason. I find a lot of times on Medivhs, if you can't get your quest completed by the second objective and you die, you're never going to complete your quest, which means you're going to be missing out on 75 damage and more cooldown reduction for the rest of the game. So the faster you can get it done, the better. The fastest I've ever seen it done was about 2 minutes on Brax's Holdout, and it was with teams that were pretty low rank, and it was also on a map that forces team fights for the majority of the early game. The slowest, well, I've seen it never be completed, but the average that I normally see it completed is around 6 to 7 minutes on most maps, while smaller maps tend to be done faster, larger maps tend to be done a little bit later. Overall, his pace is very, very good for completing this. He's hitting people a lot. He's getting a lot of value. So I actually want to pause here for a second, and I want to go from the Murden's perspective. And I want to show you what a Medivh looks like from the other side if they're being really good with this, which is essentially we're going to press play, and you get to see a portal come up. He appears, he does damage while protected, he disappears. He reappears, he does damage while you're away, and he disappears again. That is how annoying a good Medivh can be, because the only opportunity you get to actually damage a good Medivh, they're going to be invulnerable. And then the next time, you're going to be too far away because you don't want to stand next to a portal that he's going to keep doing damage from. So he got essentially 4 stacks out of that, taking no damage and pretty much just getting a lot of free damage off. It's incredible how a good Medivh can be really, really annoying in the right scenario. So that's pretty much it. He's halfway done with this quest. We're 1:30 into the game, and we are pretty much just going for it. So I'm going to fast forward through a little bit of this. As I'm fast forwarding, I want to talk about a little bit of the coaching services that I do have. This is my little ad read for everyone. I have been coaching, and with Division S coming back and pretty large prize pools from a variety of tournaments, I'm starting to get requests again for coaches. So if you are participating in any tournaments, especially any of the prize tournaments, and you're interested in coaching, I've got a link to all of my coaching down below, as well as if you just want to improve at the game. The majority of the people that I do coach are people who just like the game itself. They're just having fun. Those people, let me pause for a second. Those people usually find that my Patreon option is a little bit better because I will follow you throughout the months and keep coaching along the way. So that's usually the better option, but I'll throw that down below as well. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email and I will let you know. Any coaching related ones. Anyways, let's get back into the game. So the first mistake that I found he did was the objective spawning. He has no health and he's not backing. There's nothing available on the map for him to get in the next 23 seconds, which means that he should be backing right now, getting full health, full mana, and then coming back to the objective at full health and full mana. I'm going to explain a little bit on why this is a mistake as we get going, and so we will we'll see it as this fight starts happening. So let me fast forward just a little bit. And still pretty good stacks. So the objective starts off, and he's just going to kind of annoy the enemy Lucio a little bit. Try to keep his team up. Haka spawns. More damage. And he's just getting these done as fast as possible. He portals in. Uses a shield. And then gets some more stacks. He only needs 4 stacks. So let's talk about this for a second right here. So if he had 53% of his health before this objective started, which he would have had 100%, meaning that he should have 47% more health than he currently has. And that means that right now he's at about, I don't know, 15%. He should be above 50% right now. Okay? If that splash would have hit him, he would have died. If the Murden would have done a W here, he would have died. And he completed his quest. But he would have died in multiple areas because of this. I mean, even if just the Lucio was playing more aggressive, he would have died. There were so many areas that he could have died here and lost 39 stacks if he wouldn't. And it's so simple, guys. Like, a lot of these mistakes that I call out are ones that anyone can do. Like, anyone can make these things. I'm not calling out these ultra complex mechanical changes that everyone's like, oh, well, that's just the pros. They're like crazy good at this game. The mistake he made was not backing before an objective. And this is a mistake that happens at all levels of play. And he could have came back with full health, full mana, and been more aggressive in this team fight and finished his quest and been able to use the completed quest. In the end, what happens is they lose the objective here. They do get some kills, but the kills they get are only from the enemies playing aggressive. Or no, this isn't the fight they get kills. They just lose the objective. The next thing here is he grabs a fountain. Again, what can he get in the next 25 seconds here? Nothing. He should just be backing, getting full health, full mana, and then coming back into the fight, and he'll have his fountain available when he needs it. But he pretty much just flies around for 20 seconds. He makes a mistake here and portals too early. He could have gotten the kill, saved the portal, portaled over here, jumped over here, and then did the auto attack, the Q, and finished off the Falstad there. But he understands this mistake and he says it in the chat right after this. So, put simply, that is the major mistakes that he's going to be making this game is really just health and mana management. I mean, mainly just health management. But I always call it health and mana management because usually it's mana is the issue. Once again, we have another objective that is spawning. And in this case, he does get a heal. But you can see that the Kharazim is backing. And the Kharazim is going to make it to the fight at the same time that he makes it to the fight. Despite the fact that the Kharazim backed ahead of time. So if you look at this really quick. He's roaming up here, and the Kharazim is there, full health, full mana. So he could have been full health, full mana. This one's not as big of a deal because he did actually soak a lane this time. Last time he didn't have a lane to soak. This time he did soak a lane, so he did get a bit of experience for his team that he wouldn't have gotten. And once again, I just want to show you guys what this looks like from the enemy's point of view. If you're trying to invade into this, grab this objective, this is what it looks like. Medivh shows up, Medivh deals damage, Medivh disappears. Medivh shows up, deals damage, disappears. And then he comes around from the other area, deals damage. They're about to kill a Varian. Varian's protected, doesn't die. And then the portal goes through, and suddenly from this portal, what do we have? We have a Medivh show up, deal damage, disappear. Come back, deal damage, disappear. And it's so annoying. You can never kill a Medivh that's doing this. And it's one of the most, I would say, annoying heroes to go against if the enemies are playing it well. And that's one of the major reasons why I wanted to show Medivh as a Grandmaster in this game, and why I don't normally show the gameplay from my coaching sessions, because it's not that interesting. But this, you get to see a Grandmaster Medivh that's doing what he's doing, and it's crazy to see how annoying it is to play against, and how simple it actually is to play once you get used to it. In fact, there's a trick that I usually recommend to people that's pretty much just hold spacebar when you're using your portal. Because if you hold spacebar while using your portal, spacebar centers your screen. So your character is always going to be in the center of your screen. And you hold spacebar, and then you right-click on this, and then you'll queue in the direction that you want to queue, and then you right-click on the portal, and then you right-click on the portal again, you queue in the direction you want to queue, and you right-click on the portal, and the portal's always in the similar location, because you're going to portal from here to here, directly on the portal, queue in whatever direction you want, and then you just right-click back where you are. And because your screen is centered, it's very easy to go back and forth really quickly. So that's really what I wanted to share. We're going to speed through some of the rest of this as we can see some of the later plays. I'll talk about his particular build at around level 16, and we'll get into that. He actually makes another mistake here where he gets a little too greedy. And again, low health, decides to go back in, but he really shouldn't, because the enemies are missing, and there's nothing he has to gain. I don't like dealing damage to people that I can't kill, purely because they are just going to get healed back up in one way or another. Dahaka has a lot of health regen, so there's really no reason to deal damage to a Dahaka when he's just going to regen everything, especially since their Lucio can heal people without really using mana. He used his portal to go in, and now he could have gotten out with the Ley Line, and again, he goes back in again. I have this 5-second rule whenever I am trying to coach people about like chasing people or taking fights that they're not sure about. If you can't kill someone in the next 5 seconds, don't even try to like overcommit to it, because you're going to end up getting yourself killed. He makes a mechanical mistake here by creating the smallest portal I've seen all day, and it ends up getting himself killed from a Phoenix that does a Arsenal synergy. We're going to fast forward through his death, and they go for an objective here. He does another aggressive portal, and in this case, he gets Haymakered out. And the Haymaker is pretty much used just to take him out. He does end up killing the Lucio who chases him. Lucio should not have died there, and that is from a high-ranked player, too. That Lucio is Masters and Grandmasters, so that is pretty funny that that happened. But yeah, so he's able to take out that. We're going to fast forward through his death. And on to they call out a boss, don't end up going for it. Oh, they do end up getting it, and then they go for the second boss up here. Now, one thing that I like about Medivh is picking up Ley Line to defend against bosses, because you can fight on a boss, use a Ley Line, and pretty much prevent the enemies from stealing it, because you can just turn off the enemies. He uses an aggressive portal, portals in, deals some damage, and they take out the Murden. With the Murden gone, they have a boss for free even without using a Ley Line, but he has it anyways. He gets in position to portal over so he can grab the curse, so that they can get the curse at the same time as they get the boss. Now they have the curse and the boss. There are 3 major uses of Ley Line. If you're ever wondering what are the best uses for Ley Line, there's a use for Ley Line where you can steal a boss or a camp by turning the enemies off and then grabbing that. The next use for Ley Line is to split the enemies into 2 groups, where you Ley Line half of their group, you kill the other half, and then the first half will get the Ley Line turned off, and then they'll be able to kill them after that. The third major use for Ley Line is to use it to catch enemies that are running away, because if your team doesn't have a lot of engages for enemies that are running away, you can catch them while they're running away, catch up, kill them. The the last little bit is get creative with your abilities. If you need to push like this, oftentimes it's good to just use a ley line to turn off the enemy so you can free take their keep without needing to worry about it. So just because there are 3 major uses for an ability doesn't mean that you can't use it in other ways. In this case, he decides to ley line here just so they can finish off this point. But the thing that I don't like is that he ley lines here and doesn't even auto attack this. It's like he ley lines so that his team can set up for this, but the problem is his team's not really ready for that, and he doesn't have enough damage on his team to kill anyone. So I personally think that this wasn't a great ley line because it didn't end up doing its intended purposes. He gets haymakered in, it just pushes him out. That was a pretty interesting haymaker interaction. He goes back in, and then goes into core range for some odd reason, and then he dies to core. Another little mistake. So again, while he does some things really, really well, he still makes mistakes. And this is something that I really wanted to share about Grandmaster players is they still make mistakes. And some of them are just dumb. Like some of these mistakes are mistakes that you're looking at these going, why would anyone make this mistake? Especially someone who's like so good at all the other pieces of it. So this is one of the major uses for ley line. You split the enemy in 2 pieces. He removed 2 people from the fight, and they can focus all of their efforts onto the Dahaka. Dahaka wasted a lot of his abilities, and they were able to kill off the Lucio and the Dahaka from that ley line. He uses his shield, reduces the cooldown of it because of his level 13 talent. Level 14? Level 13. I don't know what this portal is. I don't know what his reasoning for it is. I may end up having to message him about this particular one. Because this is just dumb, and he ends up taking so much unnecessary damage here. I think maybe what his thought was is if he could take a lot of damage with Force of Will, he could teleport in and then use the Arcane Explosion. Oh, where did he go? You could use the Arcane Explosion to do the 614 damage to someone who was close to the tower, but it just didn't end up working. Right here, something that I didn't really mention was just a lot of hesitation. He could have backed immediately when he took all that damage, but he ends up wasting 10 whole seconds because he mounts up, and then he mounts down, uses a portal, goes over here, mounts up, and then Hearthstones, and all of that took 10 seconds. That 10 seconds means that he could have been at the objective 10 seconds earlier, and if you're at an objective earlier, that means that you can kind of zone it out for the enemies, but they get the objective for free, so it doesn't really matter, but hesitation can be a big deal. Right here is a great fight. He gets right into the backline. This is kind of the difference between the people who just play Medivh casually and the people who really get into Medivh or play him at a high level is when you can threaten the backline and use your portals to keep yourself alive. So he threatens the backline. The Falstad not only uses his Q, but also his W. You can see the W right there as well. And he's using 2 abilities on the Medivh. The Medivh just protects through those, and then teleports away, and then teleports back in. Well, I guess he doesn't because he can kill the Dahaka. But you can see how he completely disrupted them. This is the third best way to use Ley Line, which is the major way that you use Ley Line against a team that's running away. His whole team sets up on this. He gets 2 people, see that they have enough damage to kill off the Falstad, they go there. The rest of the team sets up to take out the Phoenix because they know they have enough damage to do that. Phoenix gets out of the ley line first, and about goes down. Then the Falstad goes down, and it is 2 of them very easily because of 1 single ley line. So not only has he been doing constant damage and winning in fights that they shouldn't have been winning, but he's also been setting up fights that have been guaranteed victories purely off of these ley lines. And that is what you should be doing with Medivh. You should be doing a stupid amount of damage disrupting their team and then setting up game-ending team fights. And he's been doing it consistently this game. So despite the really dumb mistakes that he's been making, that's irrelevant. Like, he makes silly mistakes here and there, and he's still dominating for his team. I don't know what he's doing right here, though. Maybe just having fun with portals. But yeah, so that's pretty much how you want to be playing Medivh. You want to be aggressive, you want to be doing a lot of damage, and you want to be giving vision of camps, vision of the enemy team whenever you can. That's probably another mistake that I haven't really pointed out, but whenever you're with like a team league group or a competitive team that's doing any of these tournaments, again, we've got Division S and the Heroes Hearth tournament coming up, you want to make sure you have vision on the enemies, and that's one thing that he's lacking. He does fire off a blind ley line here, which I always think is just funny, but it does hit a couple people. Did actually get a kill. Portal's in, takes the aggressive portal, does the auto attack that slows the enemy, but that's it. He actually used the portal there to dodge an isolation. It might have been an isolation or a tongue, but he dodged it and then jumped back. I don't really like the level 20 talent he picked up, but whatever. Jumps in, deals damage. He doesn't even jump out. Oh, he does jump out for the Hinterland's Blast and then jumps back in. He's very good at using his portals to dodge abilities. He saves himself with a W here. And that's, I mean, that's it, guys. That's how you want to be playing it. That's a Grandmaster, top 100 player. This particular account is just a Smurf account. I'll show you his main account in a little bit. Actually, I don't think I will, only because I'd have to relog back in because I'm not currently logged in. And that's it. So let me go over his build really quick. Let me just rewind a tad, and then we will go over his build. So let me hit play, and oh, it's not letting me do it. I can do it through this, though. So the build that he decides to go is the Winds of Celerity. Makes it to where your Raven form moves as fast as mount speed. The great talent if you're on larger maps, or if you just don't like the Portal Mastery, which is the talent that I normally recommend. Raven Familiar is a talent that makes it where everyone who jumps through a portal deals extra damage for one attack, as well as slows the enemies. It's kind of a must pick if you want to be really annoying with Medivh. There is another pick that if your team is really coordinated, it could be better, and it gives your entire team armor that goes through. But overall, the Raven Familiar is still really good because your whole team could jump through and do like just burst down one person. Arcane Explosions, what he picks up at level 7. Again, his aggressive playstyle has him jumping into the enemy team, putting a shield on himself, having it explode, and then jumping out before his before he takes too much damage outside of his shield. So his particular playstyle is very in and out, doing a lot of damage. The Ley Line Seal he picks up allowed him to get aggressive kills. It allowed him to pretty much win the team fights and set up for game-winning team fights. Enduring Will, the way that he uses his shield, which is the way you should be using it, is on targets that are getting a little bit lower and are about to take a lot of damage. So Enduring Will, he had a pretty much reduced cooldown on his W every time that he casted it. And Stable Portal allows you to do more portal shenanigans of jumping in and out and constantly dealing more damage. Level 20, he does pick up Arcane Brilliance, which is, again, not the talent that I would recommend, but it is a good one. I usually like Medivh's cheats or the upgraded, really just upgrading either of his ults, but he decided to pick that talent. I don't know exactly why. Maybe he just really likes it. So that is a Grandmaster playing Medivh, and that shows you that there's also some mistakes that Grandmasters make, but it also shows you what you could be capable of if you are playing Medivh like this. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this style, I could talk to some other people and see if we can't get some other Grandmasters playing these heroes and seeing, kind of analyzing their play. Thanks again for watching, and feel free to check out my other videos.